Are you looking to transform your organization by fostering authentic, results-driven relationships? On today's episode, we'll dive into how genuine workplace connections can create powerful business outcomes. I'm Devin Herz. Welcome to the DMC Marketing Nugget.
Now welcome your host with the Daily Nugget Dose, Devin Herz.
My wonderful guest today is Dee Hall, the head of corporate marketing at Zayo Group. Dee combines relationship building prowess with deep expertise in tech and marketing to fuel strategic growth. Welcome to the DMC Nugget, Dee. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here with you.
Well, it's always wonderful to get other businesses' perspectives on relationship building and environments in the workplace. Now we got a lot of virtual workplaces, a lot of people in person. So there's all these different things that we need to be paying attention to. Before we dig into some of the great nuggets that we're going to uncover today, love to hear a little bit about your background and how you came to be into this position.
Yeah, so let's see. I've been at Zayo for about 3.5 years. I'm going to give you a title change because my title did change. So now I'm the vice president of marketing.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so that it's been a great journey. I spent a lot of my career at IBM. I started off in a very technical space. I was a math and engineering major in college and started doing development and more software engineering, and thought that wasn't as fun because I saw all of my friends off having a lot more fun and doing, events and different things like that. I felt like that really matched my personality a little bit more. And so I went back to school and got an MBA and asked someone to take a chance on me in marketing, and they did. And I've been in marketing ever since, forever grateful. So like I said, I moved to Zayo at about 3.5 years ago after a long stint at IBM doing, just a plethora of roles.
That's awesome. And I think that's probably the best nugget of all is making sure that you're having fun doing what you're doing, right? You got to enjoy it. I mean, work's work. You're gonna have bad days, but you want to have fun in the environment and the people that you're working with. So before we even got into the nuggets, that's probably the great one right there. So I appreciate it.
I would say so. I mean, I think that's really important. And people ask me all the time, like, what made you really move from like doing something technical? And, when you were in school, you think that what you're studying is the thing that you're going to have to do forever. And I say, like any sort of major, I think what school does is just teaches you to learn, teaches you to learn how to build relationships and make connections. And that's really, what it's all about when you enter into the workplace. So
That's
I
so
think if
true.
you're not happy, find something that makes you happy.
Exactly right. And if you want to learn stuff, we know it's at our fingertips. These days, you can learn things very easily. And
Very
talking
easily.
about the world these days, we are in an extremely fast-paced environment. We got teams that are often under pressure to perform quickly and efficiently. I know that in some of my research, you really emphasize that building strong relationships is actually a strategic growth tool. So how do these relationships become a strategic growth tool?
Well, I mean, I don't disagree that speed and efficiency is important. I think that is key and you have to respond quickly. But I think like the better your relationships are with your colleagues and the people that you're working with, that allows you to really accelerate how you're going to, go to market. I think of it this way. So you like working with people that you trust, right? And I think that's what really building relationships is all about. I think in every interaction, you're either building trust, maintaining trust, or breaking trust. And so the goal is to make sure that you're always building and maintaining that trust along your colleagues and your cross-functional teams. And I think then it's easier for you to, move and operate with a lot more speed and efficiency. So if you like, I kind of give you an example. I have an example of something that we did. So our marketing team, we were faced with, I don't know, like maybe a couple of months ago, our Stargate came out. It was like the big AI announcement around, Microsoft and NVIDIA, all these different companies. And we realized that we owned the Stargate.com domain. And so when we found out, like the day that it was announcing and we had this domain, we wanted to go fast to market to do like some fun guerrilla marketing. You don't get a chance to do that often, but
Right.
we wanted to respond pretty quickly, do some fun things, and we had to pull a team together. And when we were pulling the team together, because we had all had worked together, even though it was a cross-functional team, we'd all worked together. We'd spent a lot of time getting to know each other. It was really easy for us to just jump in and get something in market the same day, from our web team, our design team, our communications team, and our agency partners. And like, we just did it within a day. And it was so much fun and so much easier because we had already have built those great relationships.
Yeah, that's so true. Some people can look at that as a stressful situation, and in
Yeah.
marketing, there are deadlines. We all deal with that on our agency as well. We deal with these deadlines, or all of a sudden something, a new opportunity, like you're mentioning here, which is a big one, having that domain name. Um, to be able to react quickly and be able to help our clients achieve what they need to in that time frame. So having that trust with your colleagues, knowing that this is not such a burden, it's more of a challenge, and you're
Right.
working together, you come together, and then you see the fruits of your labor paying off. That's gratifying, and
Absolutely.
ultimately gets you to market and gets your information out there in the time that's needed. And so I think that trust, and then same thing on the client side, right? Or your higher ups, if they need something quick, they need to be able to rely on you. So having that trust is crucial. And I know that comfort zones, I have a lot of people on the show. Some of them love being on here in front of video. Some of them also, well, like me, even when I started off, I was shy to be in front of a camera.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really know how to do my own content. So, stepping outside of that comfort zone when building a high performing team, why do you feel that diversity and communication styles, backgrounds give you a critical advantage?
Well, I mean, I think, my dad would always say, like, if you're like the smartest person in the room, or if everybody in the room looks like you and agrees with you, you're probably in the wrong room and you need to kind of stretch yourself a little bit. And I tend to agree. And I think that, one, it just makes things more interesting when you are working with a diverse group of people. You don't want the same, sort of thought in creative, background. You want someone who's going to sort of challenge your view, make you think differently, someone that you can learn from. And if you don't have a diverse group of people working with you, you won't get that. And I think it limits your creativity. I think it limits your understanding. And, generally, I just think it kind of limits who you are if you're not reaching out to people who are going to, help challenge you and bring some diverse thoughts and ideas and concepts to make you an even better and stronger person and marketer or whatever it is that you're doing.
I love that because, being in the workspace and working in marketing for 30 years now, you come across all different types of cultures, all different types of people. And yeah, if you're all in the same space and headspace and you're corporate, it gets boring.
Yeah.
Your marketing is going to lack, right? You need to have that diverse experience, the diverse look at things, and then also making sure that your marketing itself externally is diverse and different because that's what's going to grab attention,
Yeah.
especially these days is hard. So having the different minds come together to give you those different aspects,
Well,
I
and
think
I'd also, I mean, I'd also just like to add, like, it's not even just about backgrounds. I think like people think differently, people process information differently, and I am not. I tend to be a very outgoing person, but when I'm learning something new, and I'm like, and sort of with my leaders, I am usually much quieter, and I'm taking a lot of notes, and I'm trying to make sure I understand. I'm not the person who's always like, ask a question. And so even that is like a diverse way of operating in these spaces. And I think it's important to not just have that diversity, but like appreciate what each person's bringing and what unique skill and, insight that somebody is bringing. Like, I had a person on a team before, like she never really spoke up at all. And I would make sure I would call on her. And then when she did speak up, my God, it was like the golden nugget of everything, right? So you don't always need to have that person respond the way that you might respond. It's really just about appreciating people and appreciating the diversity that they're bringing to the situation.
absolutely. Yeah, there's no bad ideas. You bring
Oh,
them, and I think it's the culmination of your team's ideas that bring things to light. And it could be
Mhm.
just a simple tweak, something that one person brought up that makes it that much better. So, your conversions are better, the overall results are better, and you guys are having fun and you're celebrating at the end of it. So that internal culture is so, so important. And I think that when people think about marketing, it's always about what they're doing to their clients or prospects. But marketing is really what goes on in the four walls as well.
Mhm.
You know, how can leaders this day and age start to transform a siloed workspace into something that's more collaborative and more of a cross-functional environment? Is there ways that you're doing that at Zayo? Is there, tips that you would have for our audience out there?
Yeah, I think I have a few tips. I think that, if we're all just swimming in our own swim lanes, then I think we're leaving like a lot of opportunities on the table and a lot of opportunities for growth. And so I think it is important to really break down the silos. I think marketing is a perfect place to talk about this, right? Because there's not really one thing that one person can do without collaborating with other people on their team and also cross-functionally. So, what I do to try to break a silo, if I'm like coming into a team or if I'm noticing this across my team, one of the things that I do is I just am in general a person who is curious, and I always sort of default to my curiosity. I ask a lot of questions and I try to get to know people and try to, make them feel welcomed and just like create a shared space for us to be able to collaborate in a way that maybe didn't exist before. I think another thing that I try to do is give feedback in real time. I think that helps with the silos because the more you're discussing and the more you can work together to try to figure out things quickly, I think that's really helpful. So you don't always have to wait for like a quarterly review. You can just give some, constructive feedback in the moment. And then when I am sort of giving the feedback, and like even if it's like great feedback, which is what I try to do, I try to personalize it, and like you can just say, "Oh yes, that was a good job," or that you did a great job. But I think if you say to someone like, you know, great job for owning that investment call when Zoom dropped. And, like you rock because you were able to go figure out this one thing and move us much faster. I think really people appreciate it a lot more. It feels a lot more personal. And again, it starts to help build that trust and build that relationship. So you can, people will want to work with you and those silos start to disappear.
I love that. And, building for us, a virtual marketing team,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that we're not all in the same location all the time. Yes, we do have times where we're all working together.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of that is so true to where when we first went virtual, kind of stayed in our own little areas, and then we come together for a meeting here. We've learned that collaborating on Zoom, having the teams where even if we're
Yeah.
working on something specific, and sometimes you need your alone time and you need to focus, but a lot of times just even being there together on Zoom gives you
Mm-hmm.
that camaraderie. You got, ideas pop up. You're able to throw things back and forth, even if you're working on individual projects.
Yeah.
So I think that's so super important for people to realize out there to build that camaraderie, build that diverse team, and make sure that you are around to the number one nugget we talked about, having fun with what
Yeah.
you're doing. It's just going to make a better outcome for everyone.
Yeah.
Uh,
One of the things that we did too is when we are a company that was built through a lot of acquisitions, right? I think we've had over 50 acquisitions, and
wow.
the company is only 17, 18 years old, right? So it's a company that really, and so, you know, silos definitely exist and you have to try to, figure things out. And so one of the things that I noticed in our organization was that I constantly heard people say, I don't know what's going on with this team and I don't know what's going on with that team. And, we try to do agile marketing. And so what we decided to do was at the beginning of every week, we have what we call our weekly initiatives call. Every marketer has to join this call. Everyone listens to all of the projects that are going on. Everyone is listening to, what's critical for that week, what they need to do, what they need to accomplish, and so on. And I think it's been a real game changer for us. And then we invite other functions to come in and listen in as well and provide feedback on what we need to do. So I think just having that sort of environment again, where you're bringing in all these different teams, that really helps to break down some of those silos as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think the outside perspective and different perspectives definitely does that. Now, I know you've already hit on a lot of these strategies and to create authentic connections. any other additional actionable steps that our audience can implement right away that you feel, you're seeing happen that, hey, go
Okay.
try this in your office?
Yeah, okay. So I think I have a good one. I wonder if my team, when they're listening to this, will say it's good or they hate it, but I think they
Okay.
love it. So again, a lot of acquisitions coming into our team. And so when we're bringing people onto our team, and when I first started, I was like, I don't know everyone and I want to get to know everyone. And so on my team calls, I started doing what, it started off as like an icebreaker. And I would ask everyone just a question that everyone had to answer, not about work, just more about themselves. It could be really like, what's your favorite type of movie? Or if you are, what's your hype song? That was one of my favorite ones. It's
Okay.
like, what's your hype song? What music gets you hyped up? And we created a playlist that then everybody went to listen to, of everybody's hype song. I asked a question. One person asked a question one time, are you oh gosh, how did she say it? A thinker to speaker or a speaker to thinker?
Okay.
I didn't fully understand it at first, and then when people started answering the question, and it was such an eye opener to understand how people process information and how they take in information, and then spit it back out. Some people like to just speak every single thought that's in their heads. Some people like to process it and just say two words at the end. But it gave me so much insight for who I was working with and how they're processing things, and also tailoring how I would work with them as well. So that icebreaker on every call, it's not really to just like make things feel comfortable. You can get so many learnings from your team in an indirect way and in a fun way. And we have been continuing this for the last year or so. And now I was running out of questions. So now I pass it on to each meeting. One of the team members has to come up with a question and ask the team. So again, diverse thought. So we'll get some different questions in there and just keep learning about our teams. We don't, we have enough time where we're, solving the business problems. But I think it's also important to spend a little bit of time just getting to know your teams in a way that's going to make you a lot more efficient.
There's a wonderful real-time marketing nugget right there on how to break the ice, how to have some fun, kick things off, because it does become monotonous. I mean, every time, hey, how are you? How was your weekend? How's this? I mean, it's that
Right.
same routine, which authentically we care how your weekend was, but doing what Dee's saying here is going to change the dynamic of that meeting and bring some
Mhm.
interesting topics to light that you have no idea whether they're going to be talking about. I know a couple of weeks ago, the Masters, it's the baseball, it's what's
Right,
going on in
right.
the environment over the weekend. All those things that can play into what's going on and building that trust, camaraderie amongst the team. So I think that's a huge real-time nugget that all of you should definitely implement and try on your calls and in your personal meetings as well. Great way to keep that camaraderie rolling. And marketing is kind of the center of communication, right? We talked about external
Yeah.
marketing, internal marketing, the alignment of the teams. How are you seeing marketing leaders playing a unique role in shaping the culture of the collaboration? I think you just brought up one of just kind of those icebreakers, but are there anything else that you're seeing as marketing leaders that, hey, we just think of we're marketing, but no, that we actually need to be thinking about that the culture, the collaboration, and those things internally. What are you seeing on your side?
I think, I like to think of marketing as like the heartbeat of the organization, right? We're the voice externally and internally, and like we're the ones that's checking on the pulse of the company. And honestly, like we're the storytellers. We have to tell the best stories. And so I think that's a natural way for us to really help shape what the culture is, because we're using our voice and we want to make sure that we are positioning ourselves in a way that, is consistent with our values. And
Absolutely.
so because we get to do that on social, and we get to, talk about people and showcase different people on different platforms and social, and as well as the business,
Right.
it really helps us shape what the culture of the company is what the culture of the company is and what we want it to be. And so I just think that, it just helps us get everyone in the same direction. And I think it becomes infectious once you sort of set that culture. We can do that at the events that we're running. We could do that on social and our content that we're running. And I think when, it does become infectious, because when you're shaping it, you see the people having fun and collaborating together and still being very efficient, results driven, and all the things that we need to be, but having a little bit of fun doing it. I think other people want to do that and will navigate towards it as well.
I love that, and we were briefly speaking about baseball ahead of this, being that you're in the Boston area, and I'm a Yankees fan, and pinstripes running through my veins. Uh, you see, you see this. I mean, you see where teams are hot and they're just jiving together, right? So that interaction, them having fun as a team, is no different than in the workplace.
That's right.
When you're feeling crappy, you're down, you're negative, it's just not going to be the best that you can be. So having that team effort and really jiving with your team, jiving with your clients that you're working with is also important too, because if you're not having that fun with those clients, then you're lacking what you really need to be doing there. So I think that's a great way to really wrap this up. As far as types of clients and business that you're into these days, who is it that is your ideal client?
Oh, that's a good question. Our ideal client is, well, we have several. I think we tailor to a lot of the carriers and the hyperscalers who are looking for long haul fiber. And we're also looking for all of our enterprise customers across all different industries who are looking to make connections. And we want to be the network infrastructure behind all the bold things that all of our enterprise companies are trying to do.
That's awesome. Okay, very, very cool. And for anyone out there that's watching this, how should someone get a hold of you or the company? Is going online, or what's the
Yeah,
best?
you can visit our website, zayo.com. We also just started a content hub around AI, around network infrastructure, which is the conduit.ai. And you're welcome to follow me on LinkedIn at Dee Hall.
All right, perfect. So for everyone out there, go follow Dee, check out what she's got going on, keep up with what she's doing to bring some of these nuggets into your business and help you really thrive. And I think, the economy, there's so much noise out there right now. Putting your blinders on, continuing to have fun, continuing to drive your own personal economy forward is so important. Any last words for our guests today, Dee?
Um, I don't know. Let me think. I don't know. This has been really great. I really appreciate it. I think, again, relationships and connections, I wouldn't say is a soft skill. I think it is really a necessary skill that really fuels you driving your business. So when people think that you don't need to spend the time just getting to know people and making connections, I would say think a little differently, because it really can be, one of those growth drivers for you.
Yeah, the personal touch too. We rely so much on automation and digital communication, doing things like this, getting to meet guests, getting on the phone, talking to people. People are losing that art, and I think it's so important to continue that personal connection and
Oh,
get out there.
absolutely. Made a joke the other day, and I was like, you know what? If I wish like all our G chats and Slack and all our channels where we're like quickly communicating had a tone button, because if it had like this tone button, I feel like that would eliminate like 90% of the miscommunications and the misperceptions that we get. So I
Yeah,
say,
that would be a nice thing, because I'm sure there's been several different text messages or emails that
oh
have
yeah.
where people are like take it the wrong way, and it's yeah, you don't really hear that tone. So bringing that personal touch is huge. But great nugget. I thank you for all the information that you instilled on us today, and I love to continue to meet people like yourself. You're inspiring and bringing the goods to your company and now to the world out there. And we'll keep spreading the great word. Best of luck to everything that you're doing there, and really appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate connecting with you, and I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that's a wrap of another inspiring DMC Marketing Nugget. Be sure to hit that like and follow button and listen to us on your favorite streaming apps. Check us out at dmcmarketingnugget.com. You'll find all of our past episodes there. Here's to your success.